Hello, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab. You are listening to your host, Pavan Raj Verma, on Rapid Rhetoric Stickman, another episode of the brand new series of ESL 2.0 broadcasting directly from NIT-Bhopal. Well, I just came across an article that says sunsets are the best on the American West Coast, and I really needed to confirm it. So, to confirm this, I have called in a guest from all the way just there. He's an entrepreneur, a consultant, a TED speaker, a writer, an actor, and a black belt sensei. Presenting Mr. Ryan Foland.
Ahoy.
Welcome, sir.
It is good to be here, and I will verify that the sunsets are best wherever you are. Now, the West Coast are great, but I don't want anyone to think that the sun setting is specifically for the West Coast, because guess what? We go around the sun all together. And so I think the key point is that those people who take time and make effort to actually see the sunset, to experience the sunset, those are the ones who are going to get the most benefit of it. And if it's cloudy, or if you happen to work through the sunset, you can always find someone posting a sunset. And one of my favorite things to search for online on social media is none other than hashtag sunset, hashtag sunrise. And I love looking at clouds too. So yes, we have what are amazing sunsets over here. And especially if you're on the water, I love to sail. I love seeing, I guess I say the sun go down, but technically it's us going up, right? I enjoy the colors and the dynamic, I guess, atmosphericness that happens when it's over the ocean, because you have the reflections and all the crazy stuff. So yes, West Coast has some good sunsets, but don't forget that there's a sunset everywhere in the world. You just got to make time to see it.
Exactly. So, sir, an entrepreneur, a speaker, and a black belt sensei. Having this much in your life, I mean, it's wow. It feels like you're the jack of all trades. And I really am inclined to say that you're the guy that needs no introduction at all. But I think the audience would absolutely love it if you would briefly tell us more about yourself.
Sure. So I think that I don't want to be known as the jack of all trades, because then by default, I'm the master of none. I will point to the fact that we all forget how dynamic and sometimes crazy our past has been. So I talk with people about how my expertise is not as important as my experience. And I believe that people hire me for my experience, not my expertise. I feel that the jobs that I've gotten is because of my experience, not my expertise. And the one is an expert, but we all have experience. And I am a black belt, and I've taught karate for collectively 10 years, but 7 years solid. And the reason why I have the black belt is because I was tormented as a kid with my freckles and people making fun of me. So my black belt is rooted in the need to defend myself and to be able to stand up and feel strong. And so sometimes we don't always think about the path that got us to where we are. And I believe that's the most important, because when you mess up, when you fail, when you make a mistake, that's when you actually learn. And when you learn is how you gain experience. And the thing about experience is that you gain the experience just after you need it. Okay? Yeah. You need the experience to make sure that you don't make the mistake. But if you don't have that experience, you make a mistake, then you learn, and then you get the experience. And so I look at, instead of being a jack of all trades, I have a lot of experiences that I've learned from, experiences that have shaped me, experiences that make me who I am today. And so I think if you look at anyone, yourself included, and you look at the lessons learned and how you've become who you are, I think that's the real interesting part, which is the derivative or the behind the scenes of what might be eventually seen as expertise. Like a black belt is a level of expertise. I'm known as a personal branding expert. I'm known as a communication expert. But that title or that expertise is really rooted in my experience. And when I help people build their personal brands, I'm not telling them to let everybody know that they're an expert. I'm telling them, share the stories of your past and your lessons learned with other people, and they'll recognize that you have knowledge, you have experience, you have firsthand insights. And so, yes to all those things. You know, the accolades, I've been featured in all these publications. I've given 4 TEDx talks. I have all these these points of validation. But at the end of the day, I'm just a living, breathing, flawed human like you. And when I can get that across, I'm less intimidating. I'm more approachable. I'm more relatable. And more importantly, I'm able to be less stressed. I'm able to have less anxiety because I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. This is not easy. It is not easy, but it is well worth the effort to try to just to be yourself as much as you can. It's not easy. Somebody's got to do it.
Absolutely. And I really must admit that part of multitasking. And you know, I have heard that your case study skills are unmatchable. In fact, in my opinion, this is something that generally requires a lot of time and focus. I was curious to know that how you multitask, especially while you are researching for a case study.
One, I use technology, and I use Post-it notes. I have Post-it notes everywhere. And so one of the things that I will say, which helps me to multitask, is to what's in my head, put it down, get it out of my head. So I use a technology platform that's like project management for, it's called Trello. And there's a number of them, but it kind of feels like digital Post-it notes. So for me, you know, I've got consulting clients, I've got people I help with their public speaking, whether it's a TEDx or a keynote that they're working on. I work in higher education at UCI, so I actually work at a university, and I do sail a lot, and I work out, and I have all these different things. So for me, since we all have the same amount of time during the day, and I'm getting ideas all the time, for me, it's about documenting them and then blocking time. I will share with you, do you know about the Pomodoro method? Have you heard of that?
No.
It's a concept of small sprints of time. So you work focused for 20 minutes and then you stop and just breathe for 5. And then you focus for 20 minutes and you stop and you breathe. What's important about focus in blocks of time is that the science shows it takes a while for your brain to switch tasks. Like it actually takes, you know, I don't know the exact study numbers, but like sometimes 10 or 15 minutes for your brain to switch from consulting about personal branding mode to working on marketing press releases for a university program. Like it takes time. So the worst thing you could do is have 100 tabs open and juggle between 3 emails and constantly be doing all this stuff. So there's this timer that I use, and it's actually, for those that are listening, it's a timer that you can, it's an octagon timer that you can turn. And when you turn it, it starts a 5-minute, a 15-minute, a 30-minute, or a 60-minute timer. So what I'll do, I have post notes everywhere, and then I will literally go, okay, I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes 100% focused on this task. And I'll put my little timer on, and I'll usually put on my earphones and play Tom Petty on Spotify or something and just get pumped up and just focus on that. And then when I'm done, I actually feel like there's some sort of completion. And I will say that as an entrepreneur, you're going to juggle a lot of things. But I have this exercise that I'll run with people, and I'll say, how is that one project doing? And they'll go, well, it's sort of finished. Okay, what about that other case study you were working on? It's sort of finished. Okay, well, what about that blog you were finishing? It's sort of complete.
Sort of finished.
And so I call that the sort of disorder. And so if you find you're juggling multiple projects, but everything's sort of finished, but it's not totally finished, then you have the sort of disorder. And I believe the cure for that is structured focus to actually get things done. And it's okay to have like a standby or a parking lot list. I find I'm most effective when I'm really focused to getting things done, so they're not sort of done. And for me, I think that's the trick that I could share that I use.
You talked about focus, and it's really an important part to have an efficient output, and it really impacts on our efficiency as well. Not only that, if a person concentrates over a specific task over a period of time, they develop interest over it as well. So, talking of interests, we have observed that you have a keen interest in stickman figures. It would be great. It would be great to know the origin of this interest, sir.
Well, believe it or not, I've always drawn stick figures, and I think that you have too. I think we all start there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember as a kid, I liked to draw things about the ocean. So I used to draw whales. I also liked Garfield, so I would try to draw Garfield. And I liked lizards, so I would draw lizards. And I actually have a whole stack of stuff that my mom gave me from like, the bin of all the artwork. And it's funny to look back, like, yeah, I was drawing lizards, Garfield, and whales and sharks and dolphins. Well, in high school, I utilized my drawing skills in more creative ways. And one example is that there was a senior class t-shirt and they were asking for designs. And so I drew a stick figure version of people drawing like people as the numbers of the t-shirt. And then I won the contest and all the t-shirts had my stick figures on. I was like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. When I was in the business world and I sort of had failed in Hollywood and I ended up selling mortgages to make a living, I recognized that it's not easy to go through to get the processing done on the file behind the scenes. I would talk to somebody, they would love what we were doing for them, they'd want to go. But since I was low man on the totem pole, it would take so long for that loan to go through the process. Sometimes a person would be called by somebody else to move faster. So I thought to myself, how can I make my files move faster? So what do? I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I got a problem. Everything's going super slow and I can't figure it out. And she said, every problem has a person behind it. She said, who are the people that you need to connect with to make your files move faster? I said, thank you, Mom. And it was the processors. So what I actually started to do is on Friday afternoon, I would hold snack time and I would invite all of the processors to my cubicle. Okay. And I go to the store and I have salami and cheese and the best stuff, but it was only for processors. So I got to meet them and I would ask them questions about what they like and get to know them. And this one lady liked, she was into cupcakes, and the other one loved, Harry Potter, and she was into dragons. And so I got all these like little tidbits of information. So when I started to get my loans, I put a cover sheet on it and I drew like a stick figure with a cupcake, but the cupcake was like huge. Or I drew a dragon like eating something else. And I'd walk over to the processor and go, hey, here's my file. And I would put it up on the stack, like, 3, 4, 5 feet of paper right up on the top. And it's like, she'll get to it in a few days. But I'd show it to her as I put it up. She'd grab it, take it down and go, oh, that's something. Rip it off, put it in her cubicle and process my loan. I went from low man on the totem pole to the president's club, to the chairman's club, to where I was the top 3 out of 300 salespeople, making more money than I ever know what to do with. I did spend it, unfortunately. But it was because of the relationship built with people, and a stick figures was an action for it. Now, the whole industry crashed in 2008. I lost my job. Everybody lost their job. I ended up having to work in construction. That was the only job that I could get. It was a very humbling moment. And in construction in particular, I ended up at a place that hired me. They did kitchen and bath remodels. So the person would walk in and say, I want a shower that looks like this and has that. So I'd take a piece of paper and I go, does it look like that? And they'd be like I draw a stick figure shower with stick figure people. And I'd be like, don't worry, I'll put some clothes. It's just a fun interaction. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, yes. So I was able to help people visualize what they wanted by just sketching it out. Fast forward even further. And when I was trying to build my speaking career, but nobody knew who I was, nobody cared, somebody bought me a ticket to Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins was like, rah, 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 get excited. You're the best. Everything's going to be okay. And he made a challenge to everyone. And he said, I challenge you to find something that you can do every single day, regardless. You do it every day. It might take you 10 or 15 minutes. And then choose a big, hairy, scary goal that's going to take you like 5 years to complete. And I really thought about it. And the only thing I could think of that I could do every day was drawing stick figures. And at that point, I was on Instagram, but I had no idea what to post. I'm like, I don't know what to post on this thing. Everybody looks beautiful and happy and fun. Like I was afraid of posting. So at that moment, I said, I'm going to draw a stick figure every day. And that was 6 years ago. And I draw stick figures every day. That has led to all of my keynotes. They're hand drawn with PowerPoints. On all my channels, I share it. With my blogs, I illustrate it. And so I have literally become known as somebody who's associated with stick figures. Last year was my 40th birthday and I had to cancel because of pandemic. So I used the money I was going to put my party on with, and I launched a stick figure store, stickfigure.store. So it's like, again, that's kind of the crazy journey of stick figures, but it's something that's simple, it's fun, and it has become part of my brand.
Yeah, indeed. And I must admit that the concept of stick figures was really cool, to be honest. And it becomes so handy to explain topics as well. As you talk that it used to reduce your stress and the people around you. In my opinion, that these stick figures can be really illustrative as well. Suppose you are about to explain a topic to a random John, say, so it becomes so handy. And such ideas and interest are a sign of healthy brain, to be honest. And such healthy mind requires a proper training. And you know what? Whenever I talk of training, I visualize physical fitness. And there's a famous saying as well, physical fitness is the first requisite of happiness. Do you apply this motto in your life?
Yes, and I will share with you a simple and powerful truth. It's that successful people are not doing things that everybody else cannot do. Successful people are doing what everyone can do, but not everyone does. And the things that everyone can do is wake up a little bit earlier, spend time writing one page of the book that you want to write, finding a YouTube to practice some guitar online every day, draw a stick figure every day. And so fitness is a great way to look at it. I tell people to focus on the stair, not the staircase. And there's a couple reasons. But if you celebrate the small victories and you just focus on the next step, then you're not going to be looking at the top of the staircase, getting intimidated, questioning yourself, telling yourself that you can't do it, having limiting beliefs and whatnot. It just becomes too hard. Writing the book was the top of the staircase. And funny enough, this book is what I wanted to write when Tony Robbins gave that challenge. It was something that I knew would take me 3 to 5 years. But do you know how to write a book?
As you explained earlier.
One page at a time. One page at a time. I actually have a friend, Raphael Gordon, who was in a really sort of troubled neighborhood. One of his brothers was murdered. One of his brothers was in prison, and he was in a really bad situation. He got a mentor who taught him about entrepreneurship. And Ra had always wanted to write a book, and he never thought it was possible. Is an inner city kid. And his mentor said, look, write a book by writing 1 page a day, just 1 page. And so the mentor helped him focus on writing just 1 page, and then another page and another page. And not only did he publish his first book, as of today, he has published 17 books and has his own publishing company. Okay? So this idea of finding habits that support the goals that you're after, you read a book 1 page at a time. And so I think we live in a world with hacks and apps and shortcuts and internet that we think can kind of get us to where we want to go faster. But if you remember what I said before about your experience, it's your experience that gives you your expertise. And so if you try to shortcut fitness, if you try to take steroids, or if you think that just working out once a year is going to make you fit, you're wrong. People want to believe it. That's why they buy stuff that is going to make them buffer. They buy stuff that they think is going to, make their business better. But it's doing the work in the business, doing the work daily that actually makes things work.
Oftentimes in many of your speeches and some writings, I have seen a special mention of Proud Ginger Boy. Mr. Foland, we are really curious to discover the anecdote of Proud Ginger Boy phase in your life.
Yeah, well, so this goes back to my freckles. Okay. And I have freckles everywhere. My arm looks like it was attacked by a freckle monster. And I have a red hair. My hair is turning darker and whiter as I grow older, but I've been a redhead and somebody who has freckles. And there aren't a lot of us out there. Okay. I mean, we're out there, but we're a very small percentage in the larger population. And the word ginger has sort of, at least in the American culture, has become associated with redheads. And I think part of it is off of a TV series called Gilligan's Island, where one of the main characters, her name was Ginger, and she was redheaded. So culturally, gingers have been the redheads that are usually made fun of. You might remember there was a ginger kid who was told he didn't have a soul, and then he'd made a YouTube video about how he does have a soul, and it turned into a South Park episode, and everybody sort of like culturally like established gingers are those redheads. So what I've done is I've taken what in my past has been traumatizing, being made fun of for what I look like, and I've turned that into something that I'm proud of. And if you look at my LinkedIn, I'm a speaker, author, and ginger.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of cheeky. But what I like about it is that the word ginger also kind of has a meaning around energy or positivity. So if somebody's ginger, then they're kind of, they're happy and they have a positive outlook. And so what I tell people, and I love doing this on the big stage, is I tell people how I'm one of the most underrepresented minorities in the world. I'm a ginger. And then everybody,
so in a way,
what?
So in a way, we can say that you have transformed your weakness into the strongest point.
Yes, I have taken my weakness of having my freckles and people making fun of me, and I've turned it into a differentiator. And I tell people, look, the good news is that we can all be a bit more ginger. So it's kind of a play on words. I tell people that they're honorary gingers. I think we can all be a bit more ginger. And here's the final thing from a branding standpoint, okay? There are a lot of speakers. There are a lot of authors. But I can't think of many who are speaker, author, and gingers. And so there's always something that can be fun or silly. Maybe it's the fact that you're a proud dork. You're like, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, and I'm the biggest dork you'll ever know. It's like, that's a differentiating factor that people will remember you by. When I have clips of my talks, I share them and I call them ginger snips. And so again, it's just a way to take something and make it my own and be proud of it. So that's why I'm a proud ginger.
All I can do is listen to you and enjoy.
No, it doesn't always have to be super serious, and that's part of my personality. And so I'm able to share that with people in kind of a cheeky way. When people ask me for like a bio, sometimes I'll say I'm a speaker, author, and ginger. And then they read it and they're like, and Ryan Foland, who's a speaker, author, and ginger. And I'm like, yeah.
So I was browsing through your website last day and I came across this 313 challenge.
Yes.
And now I am really very much excited to know more about it. What exactly you do in this challenge?
So the 313 challenge is it's a I would say challenge essentially that that essentially helps you to narrow down how you explain complex problems, complex ideas, or even what you do. the name 313 stands for the deliverable, which is as a result of this process, you actually can describe your business or who you are in 3 sentences, in 1 sentence, in 3 words. I believe that to be a powerful communicator, you have to communicate less, because the more you talk, the less people listen, and the less you talk, the more people ask questions. And questions drives conversation and curiosity, and that's really what drives connection. And so I have a podcast around it called the 313 Challenge. I have consulting around it called the 313 Challenge. I challenge people to boil their messaging down. And it's really a way of articulating the least amount of information that is the most important for people to understand what you do. I think entrepreneurs talk too much, and this helps them say less and essentially get more across.
Yeah, I would like to suggest to all those audiences who aren't known of this podcast, they can visit the Apple Podcast or Spotify or the website of Ryan himself.
Yep, and you can go to ryan.online/313 challenge, or just because there's no other 313 challenge, you can just Google 313 challenge.
So talking about 313 challenge, taking inspiration from this challenge, I have developed my own challenge, and I call it the firsts. The rules are very simple. You have to mention the one word which strikes first into your mind. As soon as you listen to the topic, I will speak.
Okay.
So shall we begin?
Let's do it.
Sailing.
What did you say?
Sailing.
Sailing. I would say wind.
Traveling.
Portugal. That's where I last sailed.
Nature.
Mother Earth.
Childhood.
Ginger.
India.
Up on the list to travel to when things open up.
Sure. Writing.
Time.
Expert dojo.
Kia.
Life.
A journey.
Impressive. California.
Perfect weather.
Okay, that was really smooth.
I feel like I was on the Family Feud. Do you know about the Family Feud in the end where they have, they poll people? So if you ever watch the Family Feud, I feel like I was in the finals there. So that was exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to next set of questions. We have come across this book that is written by you and have some really unusual name, to be honest. So please reveal the mystery behind your book title and what inspired you to write Ditch the Act.
Well, trying to figure out how to build a brand was a very difficult process. I did a lot of things to try to build a brand and nothing seemed to work. But as soon as I started to be a bit more vulnerable in my journey, and as soon as I stopped trying to fake it, and I actually shared what I was having challenges with, that's the moment I started to get traction. And so at the time I was working with a business partner and we had a business and we were helping other people with their brands. And that was the differentiation, was don't try to fake it until you make it. Just try to share with people the process that you're going through. And that's what we call ditching the act. And so the book is about how to build an authentic brand by using your failures, your flaws, the mistakes, the things that haven't gone right, the stuff that you're afraid to share. That is actually what will help people get to know you and actually care.
And recently we learned that you are writing another book as well.
Yes, I am. It's called Ditch the Pitch. And it's actually going to be formulated in a lot of the 313 methodology, where it's the art of saying less to get more. So if you want to pitch somebody, don't pitch them. That's the first rule. And so if you can turn it into a conversation, and if you can position it in the way that they get the information they want, then you're not pitching them and they might be more receptive to the idea. So that's something I'm working on right now.
So, sir, moving forward, what advice would you particularly give to a 20-year Ryan Foland fighting his way throughout in this competitive world. Like there is something struggle they might have some advice you would give to him like that.
I would have created more content on emerging platforms as they came out. I knew about Facebook, I knew about Twitter, I knew about YouTube, but I didn't leverage those. I feel if I would have created content consistently and frequently on those early platforms, I would be in a whole different stratosphere. So for all 20-year-olds, for all people who are getting serious about building a brand and building their persona, create content and do it early, because first mover advantage. It's very hard to break out right now on YouTube, but look at what Gary Vee did. He just was consistent with content when it emerged. So that's what I'd say.
Surely, sir, that was a great advice, sir. Sir, what basically what happens is you have a long career. You build up like this much entrepreneur, a TED speaker, some motivator too. Sir, there was some of the time that you have seen yourself at your worst phase of your time. So, sir, what kept you bound to yourself at your worst phase of your life?
You know, the thing that kept me going was knowing that I could do better. There was a certain point where I had faced what I thought the only choice was bankruptcy. So I filled out the bankruptcy paperwork. It was a very hard pill to swallow. I mailed it, and I was like, I just have to sort of start over again. And 2 weeks later, that package got returned to me in the mail because I put 32 cents less postage than I needed to. So my application came back to me, and I remember, I'll never forget, I ripped it up right there, picked it up afterwards because I felt bad about littering. But at that moment, I decided, no, I don't have to give up. I can go for it. And that's really when I just kicked it in. So I always go back to like, I know I'm better than this. I know that I know I can get myself out of it. And so that's always sort of brought me up in the multiple times that I've just fallen hard.
Okay, sir. I hope our audience will find it helpful, sir. Sir, there would be some of the things like, sir, what's the best advice and worst advice you have ever received?
The worst advice is to fake it till you make it. And the best advice I would say is find something you can do every day for like 10 minutes and just do it every single day, and it'll compound into something special.
Oh. For you, like it may be a stickman figures or writing, for
Exactly,
example.
right? Or writing a book, or my stick figures, or even working out. Whatever it is, just find something that you do consistently and do it for a long period of time.
Okay, sir. So, sir, as you have said, we are running out of time. So, sir, we are moving towards our last question of this podcast session. So, sir, like you have given many business knowledges and how to go with the things and how to handle the pressure. So, sir, we as the students are going to be the future bearers. So, what advice would you give particularly to us, the youngsters, regarding the business ideas you know and the speaking session you have given?
Drink plenty of water, work out, and work towards a plant-based diet. I will tell you, I've seen more entrepreneurs fail because they are not keeping themselves healthy. And if you are healthy, if you are strong, you can deal with the stress, you can go the extra mile, you can stay up late. But I'm telling you, you need to put your health at the very front and center, because if you don't, then you won't be as sharp, you won't be as creative, you'll lash out at people, you'll make mistakes. So drink water, get sleep, work out, work towards a plant-based diet. Those are the things that will help you to overcome and work through the challenges that you're all going to face.
Oh, definitely, sir. So I hope that the ones listening to this podcast will bring the suggestion into their lives also, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for sparing your time with us. It was really a great session for us also, and we also get very motivated because, your energy, the energy you were imparting was just on the another level, sir. To be honest, sir.
Awesome. It was great to be here. And I actually have a free course that's available that just recently launched that I would encourage you all to go through. It covers my 313. It covers how I look at ideation, some of my thoughts on validation, really around your business idea. So you can go to ryan.online/start. You can also find it on my website, but I would encourage everybody, if you like what you've heard so far, that's a great way to get a little bit more of me.
I would definitely go as soon as this podcast ends.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to seeing this out in the world so I can share it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Adios.
Okay, sir. Thank you all for listening. You just heard Mr. Ryan Foland from your host Pavan Raj Verma and Dishan Vishwakarma. Cheers and take care. Here signing off, Team ESL from Station Charcha.